So, I just watched No Time to Die, and as my thumbnail said already, it is definitely worth the hype. Do I think everyone is gonna agree with me on this? No, there are some elements here that might bother some people, and I think this might be the most polarizing film of Daniel Craig as Bond. I personally had a blast, but I would try to be as objective as possible to give you guys the best preview I can of this movie, so you won't know what you're getting into. First of all, and I think if you read the reviews and reactions online, that's kind of a given by now, but this movie is way better than Spectre and Quantum of Solace, and that I can say for sure. The action scenes pack a punch, there's real emotion here, and even with some plot issues, the story just flows so much better. And since I'm mentioning the plot, I might as well get this out of the way now. It is somewhat silly. The villain and his plan feels something out of the Roger Moore, Pierce Brosnan era, but changed for the modern times. Do I think this is necessarily bad? Not exactly. But if you are someone who prefers the more grounded plot from films like Casino Royale, this might bother you. I do believe the real issue is that Safin, the villain played by Rami Malek, is kinda lacking in motivation. His presence on the first half of the plot gives you one idea about this man, but when the final act comes in and he explains his master plan, you kinda struggle to see how it all fits together. I think some more could have been done in that department. At the same time, the plot kinda flows really well. The way it jumps from point A to point B is surprisingly seamless, even when the story is taking some wild turns. And I say wild turns because this movie is hellbent on capping off the Craig era, and to do so, it strings a bunch of loose ends from the past few films while presenting this new threat. If you like this or not, I can't say for sure. What I can confirm is that you're never gonna be bored. And while I'm talking about the past films, I think this is a good moment to give you all a fair warning. This movie does expect you to have watched the previous films, at least Casino Royale, Skyfall, and Spectre. Especially Spectre, so if you haven't watched any of them, I highly suggest you do so. It's not a deal breaker, however, if you don't do it. You're still gonna have a good time. But some emotional resonance and parts of the plot kinda rely on previous knowledge, so take out of this warning whatever you want. But now going back to the film and how it flows so well, I'd say there are two big elements responsible for it. First one, the action. Holy moly, the action scenes in this movie are fucking absurd. It's such a breath of fresh air after Spectre. The action here is tough, ugly, but it's also stylish. It throws in some old style gadgets from past Bond films, but here they mesh really well with whatever is going on at the screen. If you like the greedier approach of Casino Royale, you're gonna have a field day with this one. Just as an example, there's a big action sequence in this film, not long after it starts, that is probably one of the most hardcore shit I've ever seen this franchise pull off. And there's another one that happens on a foggy forest. It's a car chase mixed with a shootout. You probably saw that on the trailers. That is just... oh man, so good. The action in this movie, my god. I gotta give full credit to Cary Fukunaga, he really directed the heck out of this movie. I also gotta praise Linus Sandgren as the cinematographer. He helped elevate all these scenes and added this bright, grainy color palette that added to the grittiness of it all. And the second thing that made No Time to Die work so well for me was how emotional it was. This really feels like the pinnacle of Craig's Bond, and he gets to kick a lot of ass and kill a lot of people, but he also gets to cry, to talk about feelings and reflect on his legacy, and it's honestly refreshing. I know some hardcore fans might prefer the cold-blooded killing machine, but I appreciate this human bond that Daniel Craig gave us, and he's firing all cylinders here. This movie has its heart on the right place, and for me, it's a better movie just because of that. Now, since I'm mentioning Craig, I also gotta give props to the acting, because besides him, most of the actors are doing a fine job here. Léa Seydoux has a lot more actressing to do this time around, to the point where she and Bond are kinda the soul of this movie. Ralph Fiennes is given more to do as well. This movie taps into the gray waters that an intelligence agency has to dip into, and I enjoyed the way they went with the character. I think a final shout out would be to Ana de Armas, who just makes a great impression in the few scenes she's in, and I honestly would not mind to see her return in another Bond film. Everyone else ranged from great to good. I think the only one I wasn't that much of a fan of was Malek himself. Again, I think Safin is lacking something that might have hurt the performance, because as someone who watched Mr. Robot to the end, I know how great of an actor he is, so there's that. Overall, as I said, I had a blast. There are other things that I wanted to discuss, but unfortunately I don't want to get into spoiler territory. There are some decisions here that will be very controversial to the Bond fans and a part of the public as well. I really cannot predict how you, my dear audience, is gonna feel about it. What I can guarantee you is that this movie is well executed, packed with some crazy action stuff, some really cool set pieces, a lot of heart, and above all, it's a fitting goodbye to Daniel Craig. He did an amazing job here, and I'm glad he's going out in a high note. And because I know people are gonna wonder where would I rank this on his films, I'm gonna say third place, a little bit below Skyfall and Casino Royale, but way higher than Spectre and Quantum, at least for now. Please go watch this movie in theaters, it deserves to be seen on a big screen, and yep, that's that. See you next time.